Good evening, one. Good evening, all, and welcome to the Toon Review. I am not here. Where am I?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, my camera's frozen. Just bear with me one second. Oh dear, this isn't good. Let me just see if I can sort this out.
We can hear you.
I know. I can hear myself through my ears. But hang on a minute. What's going on here? Let me just swap that out. We'll go back, and then we'll go back into that one. Am I moving? There I am. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. Sorry about that. Just my camera decided just to shut down during the intro there. I have no idea why. But welcome to the Toon Review's Newcastle United news tonight, a little bit later at 8 o'clock. However, since me and Billy did our show this morning, of course, there's more news to bring you. There's more talking points as we expect during this month, to be honest. But hey, this is just the crazy world of Newcastle United that we live in. But please do give it the thumbs up if you enjoyed tonight's show. And of course, subscribe if you're new and you like what you see. But don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. Of course, you can become a member of the Toon Review by hitting the join button just underneath us. And of course, you can super chat the channel by the $sign at the bottom of the live comments, which will then guarantee your comments to be read out on the show. Right. Good evening to Alex and Billy.
Good evening to everybody in Viewerland.
And Billy, it seems like the news never ends. You know, we do a news show this morning, but as expected, more comes out during the afternoon. It's a bit of a mad world we're living in right now.
Well, I think now that the PSL thing's overdone with for a year, I think you'll see that every day for the next kind of month or so.
Yeah,
it's gonna be busy.
Alex, obviously, you were at work today, so you weren't on the morning show, but I just want your opinion of the signing of John Ruddy, which was confirmed this morning.
I mean, to be completely honest, I don't mind too much. I think if you go into all of the Premier League squads and look at their third choice keeper, I think we could do a lot worse. And it's like, I did listen to his interview today. It's about raising standards in training and similar things that Howe has kind of mentioned in the same breath as sort of talking about Gillespie as well. So, I don't think it's too bad. Because the other goalkeeper, Odysseus, has obviously been brought in to be the backup.
Vlachodimos and Pliers. You've got a nickname in Pliers, haven't you? You've got to have a nickname like Pliers.
And I mean, obviously, we'll do a bit more of an in-depth show on all of them, but I'm not too bad. I'm not too bothered about these. I think if we're going to delay it a year because to potentially replace Nick Pope, we could do a lot worse. This is fine. I think they've really covered themselves with slightly better depth. And Odysseus as well, I don't think he's getting a fair crack of the whip because after doing a lot of research, it seems like some bad performances for Forest and everybody's written him off. Whereas if you go back and look at his career to date, it's a lot of high-level stuff in Champions League, winning league titles, playing for the Germany youth setup, playing a lot of appearances for Greece. He's not a bad goalkeeper at all. But we say that about Dubravka with the national team of Slovakia. But again, Dubravka is 4 years older. So there is a bit of a difference there.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Ruddy this morning and pretty much we came to the conclusion that he's in there more as hopefully a coach, given the experience that he's got and how he can help the players around him and help the younger team as well. So we'll see how it pans out. Andy B, welcome to Members Club. Thank you for your support. Much appreciated, my friend. Now, there's been various stories flapping around this afternoon regarding Anthony Gordon again. And listen, I mean, I find these stories, as they continue to go on, very, very hard to believe, Billy. Liverpool, their fans still apparently think they're going to get Anthony Gordon. There's rumours going around that Gordon's head's been turned, but that's been put to bed well and truly. And also that Gordon's a bit fed up that Newcastle United touted him for a sale.
Well, take Newcastle United out of it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Why are journalists trying to take Anthony Gordon's mind away from where he is, which is the European Championships? It's not really patriotic, is it? For starters. Secondly, it's basically, I think, press talk. I think it's press talk again designed to put doubt in players' minds and fans' minds, and just make us think we're the little club that we're supposed to be, and we're not. And we're allowed to be cherry picked by the cartel 5 or 6. I'm not believing a word of it. We've seen that having interviews and how positive and bright he is about where he is and how much he loves it.
Yeah,
and he got out of Liverpool. He got out of Liverpool for a reason. It wasn't a case of just getting away from Everton. Everton is actually in Liverpool. So why would he go back there and put himself back into the firing line? You know, you don't know if someone walking down the streets and Everton or Liverpool fan if they ain't got colours on. Not a clue. So I don't believe a word of it, if I'm perfectly honest.
Nah, I mean, he's moved his family up here as well. I mean, his whole family have moved up here. They're not going to. It's just, and this is the annoying thing, Alex. Some media outlets, especially the southern ones, they love to cause trouble for Newcastle United, of course. I don't believe Anthony Gordon is going anywhere. I think now that the PSR deadline has been and gone, we don't have to sell our big stars anymore. And we can now look forward to building the team and getting more stars in to go alongside the ones that are already at the football club.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of points to address there. I mean, Sam in the chat, thanks for Dan Ashworth. You're welcome. Thank you for compensating us fairly for him. It was a lot more than the 2.7 that all. By the way, that was all troll accounts on our side. It's not real, by the way. You actually paid a lot more than that.
Toon Pauls put it out.
Yeah, but they might not know who Toon Pauls is. But it was our banter accounts who we're quite fond of, who are quite funny. They were bantering, and most of the Man United
fan base have picked it up
by accident. Anyway, beyond that, what you said, about Gordon as well. Where his head is at for his age, psychologically, where he's trying to set himself for the future, where he is now, he's very present. He's a very articulate, driven, just inspiring young man. And I don't think for even a second that he would entertain moving at this point. Doesn't mean he wouldn't move in the future. Of course, everything comes to its end. Cycles in football. We may have another 3 or 4 years there, and we might decide to play a different style. You never know. But in this moment, absolutely not. The sort of things he's coming out with in interviews completely is the opposite. He's talked about coming up to the northeast and his phone running out of battery and just some people giving him a lift home. Just little things like that. He talks about these things fondly because it's something he didn't experience in Liverpool, even though he does speak fondly of Liverpool as well. Just the way his mind is, I think he's very, very focused on progressing his game. He's progressed a lot at Newcastle so far, and I think he wants to keep the ball rolling on that and push us as high as he can, which is good for his CV, his own development. He's the main guy. He starts games. I think it would be the wrong time to move for him. Bad for every party, really. We don't need to. Like, if I don't disbelieve Downey, I think that was true. I think we possibly put some of the big hitters on the line in case we weren't going to get PSR over the line for the deadline. That's very believable, very likely true. But it was very much press panic button in case of emergency. Yeah. That was what it was. Yeah. And I do believe Keith on that. There's no reason not to. And I think it's now fine because we sorted it. So there's no drama. I don't know. There's a few people kind of going a bit crazy with it. It's done now. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We've got another new member, David Robertson. Thank you for signing up to Members Club, David. Welcome to the family and thank you for your support, my man.
Paul, we have a couple of Man United fans in. Can I just explain the national situation to them as most people would see it?
Well, I was just going to say, for my point of view, those Man United fans that think we actually are bothered by this, we're not.
Well, I just want to give him a little bit of education. Yeah. Firstly, he's done little to nothing at Newcastle United. Mm-hmm. I think he had 2 windows. One we didn't spend anything in. Okay, when we got Isak in, but the Brunos and people like that, Botman had all the work had been done for him before he came. Brighton, he went into a system that was already there and just carried on with that. And then you watch England every night in this European Championships, and that turgid, entertaining style that Gareth Southgate's doing was all masterminded by Dan Ashworth. So you ain't getting the boat you think you're getting, mate.
Wow, look, I don't agree with Billy there. I think he's a very talented man, but he's not gonna do what maybe you think he's gonna do. He's not gonna come in and unearth Caicedo's for £3 million. That's not what he was about at all. People have got him the wrong way. He came into us because we had zero structure. And to be fair, nor did Manchester United. You were in a very similar position where it was just dross. And he will make sure there's a little bit more of alignment with your academy, with your women's, well, I say women's team. Jim doesn't seem to think so. So maybe it's going to be harder for Dan than you think, to be fair. Yeah. But it's he's in as a what is he in as? He's in as a one of them's a technical director, and one of them's a sporting director. So you've actually got quite a few different roles in there. Possibly a bit of toe stepping.
There's a lot of.
It might not work yet. I mean, you just wait and see, Sam. We'll see about that.
It won't work.
Listen, quite frankly, he hasn't been at Newcastle since January. No. You know, and any Man United fans coming on, I mean, we do, you know, we welcome opposition fans on this channel as long as you're sensible, have a decent conversation.
Well, he's just throwing trophies at us now, which is
no.
Who cares?
ESPN right? Say you paid 20 million for him, so there you go.
You know, we don't. I mean, from my point of view as a fan, right? Ashworth, you know, for whatever reason. He left us in January when he went on gardening leave. He hasn't been with us all year. I frankly don't care, right? Because there will be other Dan Ashworths out there. Is he a talented man? Probably yes, right? Is there other talented people out there just as good as Dan Ashworth? Yes. Will we find them? Absolutely. So it's a sporting director, and you know you're coming on here and trying to make fun of us for getting our sporting director, which you paid. Anything between what is being reported, 10 and 20 million. So who's laughing? You know, you've given us all that for a backroom staff member. I mean,
yeah, the people I've looked at today seems to be 10 or 12. I don't think we've gotten 20. I think it's in the region of 10 and 12. I think we've met somewhere in the middle, which for us is fantastic. We'll take that all day long. We can put a lot of that into another player this summer.
So, you know, if you're going to come on and insult us and think we're going to be bothered by the Dan Ashworth situation, we think he's a snake. And when it comes to it, like I said this morning, you know, he doesn't seem to have any balls to stick to a job or loyalty. Yeah. So as soon as another club comes along and offers him a place, he'll probably jump ship from Manchester United as well. Because let's face it, you're not the Giants you used to be. So
not in the best club in bloody Manchester, Greater Manchester, mate.
Well,
can I just mention as well that a lot of your initial choices turned you down and are still on the market, like your Paul Mitchells and stuff are still out there. So,
well, Sam says no one's insulting.
You did. You threw the trophies comments at us, which is
which
a bit.
I mean,
you're going for fishing there, which is
big glory hunty.
But Sam, if you're here just as a fan, you are very welcome on the channel. Let's just keep it all friendly and just have a bit of football chat. That's fine.
There's a lot of clubs in the Premier League that don't consistently win trophies that are still, you know, decent clubs.
We are Bill.
You got your Brentfords and Palaces in the Premier League that have been doing very well. Palace has been slapping everyone. You don't just randomly go up to them and start mocking them about trophies. It's just otherwise you just never win that argument. It's just a boring argument because it's the same little cluster of clubs historically that you can only talk about, and it's just boring.
And now he's saying facts. You ain't won shit in 60 years. We don't need telling. We know that, for God's sake.
It's more than that, to be fair, if you check it.
It's 55.
It's 55. But never mind. It's you know, if you want, you know, I've just said if you want to come on and have a decent football and conversation, then fine. But really throwing them sort of insults about trophies, it's a load of bollocks. We water off a duck's back. Heard it all before. Chris Lynch, thank you for your super chat. Our big players are stopping. End of story. Trolls, media, Man United, F off. Stop spreading manure. It won't stink. You will see the real Ashworth this season when your house of cards start falling. Baz Down Under wants to know where our CEO is. Well, Baz Down Under, can I just point this out? Darren Eales has done a lot in the last few days with the sorting out the PSR situation. And, that's where he is. He's working very hard behind the scenes. And, he is part of that structure at Newcastle United that has helped get us over the PSR line by selling the players we have, and also probably a big part in the Dan Ashworth compensation. So let's not be having to go at Darren Eales. It's not nothing to do with him.
Can I add to that slightly as well about Darren Eales?
Yeah.
Oh, this Man United guy's doing my nut, and I'm sorry, I'm going to mute him. He's going in a timeout.
When you live in St James's Park,
do you all live in Old Trafford? Are you okay? Do you need me to call someone? Anyway, let's move on. Jesus Christ. Darren Eales. A lot of people are getting a little bit frustrated that we've not had any communication from the club. I think that's quite normal. They're a bit busy. They obviously don't have Dan Ashworth to help. They're dealing with this on their own, and they've probably done so much in the last week. The last thing that they're going to do is tell all the fans and the world their plans, which would have probably ruined everything they've just done in the last few days. So let the dust settle. They've been super busy. I'm sure somebody's going to come out at some point. And they don't have to tell us anything. They do tell us a lot more than we got from Mike Ashley. So they will eventually, but just let them do. They're obviously very, very busy with this, and that is a priority. And there's no point in telling us everything, because it shows everybody our hand, doesn't it? So
I do have a point with the other backroom fella, Mr. Silverstone. Why we still not got certain sponsorships in place when we were begging our asses to go and break the PSR thing? He's had plenty of time to sort this out. Why have we not got training ground sponsorship? Why have we not got training kit sponsorship?
Well, I mean, maybe we have, Billy. Maybe they just haven't announced it yet.
And potentially we're not willing
part of being into July. I mean, we just have to.
Well, maybe we're not willing to whinge about it in interviews like Jim Ratcliffe's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we are frustrated about it, and there are things we're trying to push through, but we can't for reasons. But PIF have just said, look, let's not whinge about things in interviews publicly. Maybe that's the stance of the club internally. So we won't know that.
Paul Charlton says, how times change here. The once mighty Man United coming to steal staff from the wee club in the Northeast. Get a grip.
They've always been doing that. What are you talking about?
Of course they have. Yeah. Alex Crook from Talk Sports says Lewis has played down the guns, but yeah, I heard that. It's a load of bollocks. It is. 80s Gamer says, when are we getting the new stadium and training ground we've been promised? It's all gone very quiet lately. Also, why are we signing such a crock of shite? Something smells off to me. I'm not panicking yet. I said this morning, there's 2 months of the transfer window left. And July is the month where it all really starts. It's all a sort of new year and everything like that, and that's when it all starts. I think there's a lot of unnecessary panic going around the fan base at the minute regarding the transfer window. Let's just, the time to discuss how good the transfer window was is on the 1st of September, when the window's closed, and then we know how good or how not good the window was. That's when we talk about. There's 2 months left in the window yet, and listen, I'm pretty sure that Eddie Howe, and I said this morning, will want to get the majority of the signings done and dusted before pre-season starts, if he can, if it's possible. So I think we will move quite quickly. I really do. Luke, thank you for your super chat. It'll have been like a fruit and veg shop during Ashworth's first business meeting with the Manx today, given the time he spent tending to that garden. Yeah. Started immediately.
Plenty of veg at Old Trafford, that's for certain.
Indeed. Now, Callum Wilson, guys, is staying at Newcastle by the looks of things. Various reports have stated that this afternoon, that he is staying at Newcastle, which puts to bed the interest in Calvert-Lewin. How are you feeling on that right now?
Is that true?
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
It's on Twitter.
Staying. Look, I've not got a problem with it if he can stay fit, and he understands that he's strictly second choice to Isak, and he comes in when Isak needs a rest, and he's ready to come in when Isak needs a rest. I'll still think we need a third choice. I was
going to say, yeah.
Even though he's going to stay.
Do you think we'll still go for a third striker?
I'd hope so. We've needed one for 2 years, nearly.
Well, I mean, we've never replaced, the
statue.
I'm just going to call him Chris Wood. I'm not going to be disrespectful to him. But yeah, we never really replaced him, Alex. And I think it's important that we do get a third striker in the door.
Well, it was so important for us for so long to have 3 strikers. And now all of a sudden we've changed to the opinion of 2 is fine because we have a winger who can kind of play centre forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bit odd. It's a bit of an odd turnaround, really, in just general squad thoughts. It's like currently we have 4 keepers. What next year are we going to suddenly think that 2 is fine? It's just weird. It's never really been questioned to that degree either. If it's phrased similarly to that, maybe not quite as aggressively as I've phrased it, but something you could challenge at a press conference. It's just a bit odd how it was so crucial to have that extra player. Now it's not, which I've never quite understood because, left winger before was Maxi before Gordon, and Maxi played up front sometimes as well. So theoretically we had that before, but we needed Chris Wood as well. So I don't know. It didn't really make a lot of sense.
I mean, we possibly on a second choice striker and Callum Wilson then demoted to the third choice. Who knows?
Well,
I'm still not 100% convinced he stays, to be honest. It very much depends on what.
I must admit, I'm not either. To be fair, I don't think he will either.
Well, I don't think we know what the issue is. Is it that Callum doesn't want to go? Is it price?
I personally think Callum wants to go. I think he wants to leave. I think he believes that he can go elsewhere and get first team football and be the number 1 choice. I don't think Callum's happy that he's not number 1 choice anymore. And that's a big thing for him in his stage of his career. Mats has been a member for 13 months. Thank you very much, Mats, for your support. Oh, he's made that comment. Oh, I'll have to put it up on the screen because I refuse to say this anymore.
Well, he's not said that's not the comment, is it? It's slightly different.
Yeah, but I know what he meant to say. I think that's just a typo. Or a
autocorrect.
Autocorrect, yeah. Shamrock says if that's the biggest cheer Man United have is getting Dan Ashworth for 12 million quid, then just shows you how much of a sad state that club's in. I mean, it is. It is. Jack says, always one who wants to start being clever. Bet they don't even live in Manchester. Obsessed and jealous as we are going to be bigger than them in the next 10 years. I mean, I would like. We should have asked him where he lived before I.
Well, you wouldn't answer.
No, probably wouldn't.
He had to get in the tube, so he couldn't.
Yeah. Lawrence says, hold on, was Eels not part of the board who got us in this situation in the first place? Well,
I mean, that's a fair comment.
Well, yeah, but are we blaming the board? Or are we just blaming the fact that we've had to do this at a very steady pace? Yeah, maybe they knew what was coming with PSR, but I don't hold them responsible. They're trying to build something, and to build something, you have to make sacrifices at certain times.
Well, that's true. That is true. But however, we do have to thank our loan fellow, because I think Mr. Valamiobi has kind of got us 25 million pounds with his loan of Mintay to the Dutch league.
No, there is that.
You've got to give him credit for that.
Us. But realistically, we can't blame the board at all because we don't know. It very well could be their fault, or it very well might not be their fault. It depends on what's happened here. Is it the sponsorships have been delayed because the Premier League are being annoying? Is it certain transfers we thought we could get through, we then haven't been able to get through with Miggy or Wilson or so and so? We're not sure. We're not going to know if it was negligence or the wrong call or a risk, or maybe they get screwed over by someone. We literally just don't know. So I'm reluctant to blame anyone because we can't tell with outside eyes whether they've done something categorically wrong or whether they actually got screwed over by someone, which happens in the business world. We just don't know. So I think they'll learn from this experience, whether it was the former or the latter. So we'll have to just. I'm going to say it. I'm quite happy to trust the process. I think they're going to learn from it. So it is what it
Alex,
is.
to you, Alex, can we just say I trust the club, right? We trust the club. That just bollocks.
I have faith in the process.
Oh, fucking hell, man. Jesus Christ. Player, thank you very much for your super chat. If you had to pick between Wilson or DCL, which one? Wilson. Indigo Figure, thank you for your super chat. Wonder signing is a first choice right wing and a third choice centre forward, all in one player. Too much to hope for.
That's good. That's a good point, that is.
Could be, yeah. Could be. Mark Byers over in America. Hope you're well, buddy. I wouldn't trust Darren Eales like I wouldn't trust a fart after a foul. I've heard enough about him from people close to the club to conclude he's a sneaky slime ball. Just my opinion. Interesting. Peter, good evening to you. It was great to see Darren Eales greeting us on the day when the home kick got released. You didn't have a foul the night before, did you, Pete? Dear me. Darren Eales was at the new kit launches, Julie. The man is a good one. Oh, dear.
He's dividing opinions, isn't he, Mr. Eales? Slippery.
Slippery. That's his nickname. We're giving everybody nicknames on this channel at the minute. It's incredible. Looney Tunes says you can't just our transfer window until it ends. Judge, I think you meant to put there. Exactly. That's when we'll talk about whether it's been a success or not, when it's ended. JT Toon says, any news on Miggy, guys? I'm hearing that an unknown Saudi club have made an approach for him at last, apparently. It looks like Saudi's going to be his destination, doesn't it, guys? To be fair, there is a lot of interest from over there in Miggy. So let's just look. I'll reiterate: I've got no problem with Miggy as a person. If he leaves, I wish him well. But we need to improve that side of the pitch, and I think most Newcastle United fans will accept that and say that Miggy is not good enough now to where we want to be on that right hand side, Billy.
Yeah, he's just too predictable, isn't he? It's unfortunate. He's and like Mark just said there, he's been absolutely dire for Paraguay. I mean, I watched him against Brazil. He was one of Brazil's best players. I don't think he found a Paraguay player all night. He was dreadful.
Yeah, he was poor. Yeah.
He's just in a real low part of the form now. And, from the heights of the season before last, it's a shame for him. But, I think he's on his way. If he goes to Saudi, then he's going to make a few quid at it. But whether he does, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that the manager that the team is going for is called Mustafa Whitefoot, so maybe not.
Alex?
I mean, I really do like Miggy, but it's time. If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go. We're just going to have to deal with it. He's got a contract. We gave him the contract. That's our own fault, and we need to honour that and use him as a squad player. And there's no point in throwing our toys out of the pram. But if we get a decent offer for him, and he's willing to go, then we need to take it. It's really that simple, because we could do with the money to reinvest into somebody that's going to be more prolific than Miggy is. Maybe a bit more versatile, younger. I mean, Miggy's 30 now, so.
Well, many people are mentioning a right winger who could, sometimes play as a striker. I mean, we've got that on the left at the minute, haven't we? Gordon. I just
really laughing at. Sorry, it's distracting.
I don't know.
What's so funny?
This
you got to tell us now.
Newsflash: Man United signed Stephen. Yeah.
What a bunch of Stephens.
Yeah, bunch of Stephens. Gary Clark, thank you very much for your super chat. Ashworth and Ashley are two assholes who should work together. Well, they're all welcome to each other, to be honest. The whole lot of them at Manchester United, they're all welcome to each other. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. I do give up. Would you take £12 million for Trips, or does he provide us more value than the money? Good question.
I'd keep him. I'm sorry, if we're keeping Gillespie for the cheerleader and training element, we're keeping Trippier. Like, if we're going to pay for cheerleaders, let's make them top tier cheerleaders.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get £12 million for Gillespie, would you? It's different.
But Trippier has said he's quite happy to continue playing. Like, in his recent interview, he did say he dropped down to the Championship. He just wants to play football. He loves football. So it depends. He's at that point now where obviously he's dropped off a little bit physically, and Livramento, when he's on, he is on. He's an absolute beast. So it's going to be tough for Kieran Trippier this year. If he stays, it's going to be an interesting year, and I would fully expect the minutes to be shared.
By the way, sorry, I did see somebody ask in the chat earlier on where I was staying in Fuerteventura in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to Caleta de Fusta. Is that how you pronounce it, Billy?
It is, yeah. I've been there. Brilliant place.
Yeah, staying at the Elba Castillo San George. Very much looking forward to it. It's got
San Jorge.
San Jorge. It's got some fantastic reviews. Everybody who's putting reviews on Facebook, etc., says it's a wonderful place. Really looking forward to it. Nice breakaway with Susan and the kids. And
I said that about Skeggy and Butlins, didn't they? No, you'd be all right.
People who were here last year will get that reference.
Yeah, but you do realise Susan will probably be watching Billy and be.
No, you'll be fine. Caleta de Fusta is a lovely place. Really nice place.
It is. It's there is no. Nobody complaining of any sickness bug, no illnesses, no nothing.
I will tell you one thing. The pools are freezing. Freezing.
Well, it'll cool you down, won't it? Cool you down in the heat.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, don't talk about going in the sea, though, because, there was a 12-foot hammerhead shark that had to clear the beach last week because a 12-foot hammerhead was swimming just off the beach about 10 yards out. And I thought, nah, I'm having nothing to do with that. Because just
one between my legs. And when I was there, what I thought it was a bloody sea lion that a bloke was riding around.
I remember you saying that.
I literally shit my pants. Literally shit my pants.
A sea lion. Honestly, I remember you saying that. That was
football.
What?
I can't remember what the football team is. If they're any good, we've got Las Palmas. No, that's not there.
It's the off season, Alex.
It's not even Spain anyway. It's next to the Western Sahara. It doesn't count.
Yes, it's
like going to the Isle of Wight and saying you visited England. I mean, did you really? Not really.
I don't care. Just the heat will do me. Anthony Clark says, hammerheads don't attack people, Paul. Don't be scaredy cat. Listen, the hammerheads have been known to attack people in the past. I know me sharks. I've researched. I do enjoy watching a lot of shark documentaries. I know I'm going off on a tangent here. I do apologize, but this sometimes happens, and I need to get my point across. What you're saying, Anthony, is if you were just, swimming there with your little uns,
sharks, guys, we've been through this,
and
before.
Then you see a 12-foot animal swimming towards you, that you wouldn't crap your pants. Behave. Anyway, Alessandro says, if we keep Callum, can he and Isak play together? Gordon, Isak, and Wilson up top ain't that bad, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, we've had this debate before, haven't we?
I still think a 4-4-2, when necessary, is quite dirty with the players we've got available. It can be really, if you decide to have sort of Gordon and Joe Linton on, Isak and Wilson up front, Tonali, Bruno in the midfield, and just power drive forwards with that. That's disgusting. I'm sorry, but in the right games, that's lethal. It really is.
Yeah. Remember, Amanda did say there would be mistakes along this journey. Well, you don't get the way you get without making the odd mistake, as long as you learn from them. That's just any kind of advice in life. That you learn from your mistakes. Ashton says he had such a good season. Maybe it was too much to ask of Miggy. Trevor says Miggy's got used to the temperatures in the northeast and temperatures in America getting to him. I'm not having that for a second. David says, like the line in Breaking Bad, you don't want a criminal lawyer, you want a criminal lawyer. Sometimes you need to sneaky guys to get things done. What are you trying to say there, David? Nothing like that goes on at our football club anymore. The previous owner, absolutely right. But anyway, let's look at what could be coming into the club, because obviously there's a lot of talk about players leaving and things like that. We haven't really spoke for a while about anybody coming in now. Obviously, a lot of the rumors and media reports have gone dry. The Elises of this world and things like that. But it's clear to me, Alex, that we are going to spend a lot of money on that right-hand side position.
Yeah, I mean, it's purely just based on the fact we were in the race for Elise for 60 mil. And, well, that was the rumoured fee anyway. It was between us, Chelsea and Bayern Munich, and potentially Man United as well. So the fact that we were in even that conversation is flattering. It's lovely to be involved in those kind of talks. it means we are looking big for that kind of position. And I truly believe we're looking for a big centre half as well. It looks like we've shelved goalkeeper for this year, unless I did see a couple of interesting theories from some pages on Twitter. And again, I apologise, I can't remember who they are, so I can't credit them, but they were interesting, to be fair. Mm-hmm. They did kind of suggest that maybe this is a bit of a smokescreen. We are going to replace Pope with a number one. I think it's unlikely, very unlikely. Interesting theory, but I do think we've just kind of shelved the goalkeeper until maybe next season at least. And then the money is going to be pile driven into right wing, centre half, and maybe somewhere else like a striker. And it's going to be big money. So, I'm very optimistic about that. There was a post today from one of the football Twitters about all the release clauses that have just activated as well. So we're going to get all the release clauses kick in from today. So Dybala's release clause is now active, the 12 mil for foreign clubs. Joshua Zirkzee for Bologna, of course, Man United are interested in him as a 40 mil release clause. Osimhen, Rafael Leao, Thuram, Benacer as well. So there's quite a few little release clauses that have kicked in. So it'd be interesting to see.
I did read before we came on, Alex, that Osimhen will be leaving Napoli. So they've released that. So
Mbappe was meant to be leaving PSG 3 years ago. So we'll wait and see. But
I think that's come from the club itself, though. So,
but that is 130 mil release clause. So I don't think we're going to be fishing in that.
No.
No. And Rafael Leao has got 175 million release clause. So definitely not that one either.
I wonder how much that Lamela will be worth.
That's the kind of player that they put a 1 billion release clause in his
contract. They did that with Gavi, didn't
they?
Yeah, they did it with Gavi as well. Steve Cook says, by the way, guys, where'd you get those back of shared posters behind Paul and Billy? They're not real, Steve. It's AI. It's green screen.
I'm not really in a stadium either, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, Billy, we've had a discussion this morning about right-sided players and things like that. So, is there anybody out there that would be stand out for you that you think? I mean, look, there's a lot of players being mentioned, isn't there? And some of them are just, Nico Williams of this world. I don't think we can afford right now. So we have to be realistic. Is there anybody in your head who you think would come to the club for a start?
Well, I was kind of thinking of along the lines of what the comment was earlier about someone to play there and go into the middle. Someone like Donal Marlon works, doesn't he? Someone like that. Brian Mbeumo, of course, that's his mate. He works in that situation as well. Someone of that accord would be great for me.
Interesting. I mean, Mbeumo's been mentioned a few times, but look, we've got to. I think within the next few days, I think we'll see where Newcastle United are going to go because. Like I said earlier, I think Eddie Howe will want that, Alex. He want his squad done and dusted by pre-season. The ones he can. I mean, I know there's sometimes transfers take a bit longer than others, but in general, I think Eddie will be wanting to get ready to go and for pre-season, have the majority of the squad there and ready.
Well, I think this mini deadline within a deadline with the PSR last day. Now that's kind of cleared. I think we've got a clear run at some signings now, so I think we'll be all right with that kind of thing. It's we want to get the squad in early, like you said. I think the club kind of would concur with that. We need to hit the ground running this season. We need to challenge for Europe. Mm-hmm. A couple of interesting bits that might affect who we go for. Rayan Cherki looks like he's going to Dortmund potentially, which is a shame, but it could be pretty decent. Watch him suddenly become a 100 mil player next year, who we've obviously looked at a bunch. And Brentford have completed the signing of Igor Thiago, 23 years old from Club Brugge, who is their new number 9. Does that pave the way for Mbeumo/Tony to go? Possibly. So that could mean some departures. Yeah. I don't know if that's official though. That is just some random page that's tweeted that, but I will double check that.
Well, there was a lot of talk of Mbeumo, a couple of weeks before. A couple of weeks after the season finished, there was a lot of talk about Mbeumo. And Newcastle were mentioned in that conversation. But it's gone very, very quiet. I know it's gone quiet on Ivan Toney, but he's at the Euros, and I don't foresee anything happening while England is still in there. So, but with Mbeumo, I'm not sure anymore where
I think the news is because of the PSR stuff. The news got very much muddied because of all of that in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So I think in the next few weeks it will start to be a bit clearer again.
It's also interesting that Sato mentioned Cherky going to Dortmund, which of course pushes Marlon further down the bill, doesn't he? So
True.
I think he could be one that's available.
Well, Donyell Marlon is a player. He really is a player. But I mean, I'd love to get Cherky myself at Newcastle. I mean, that would just be a dream signing, wouldn't it? Really, if we could get a player like him through the door. But we've got to be realistic as well, because there's certain players who, if we approach, they will turn around and say, "Well, we want European football," and we can't offer that this season. Yes, we can try and sell them the project, absolutely, but it could be a bit more difficult to get those sort of players in, Alex, and maybe it's a case of putting the feelers out and see who would be interested.
I think we can probably get most players now. I think we're where we were last summer, basically the same position where we can't go for that elite tier. When people are going for your sort of the Haaland kind of signing, the team that wants to, that there are certain caliber of players that will only move to a team that's going to challenge for a title that season and be in Champions League football. There's that kind of bracket of players. So we can't get them at the moment unless we can really magic something up, but very, very unlikely. We're shopping in the next category down. A player that wants a bit of progression, wants to go to a club where there's a project, maybe they can improve themselves and they can sort of grow. Maybe at their current clubs, they're not going to get that opportunity. And it's a chance to get some bigger wages as well, because there's a lot of players around Europe that might be on 40, 50, 60, 70 grand a week who are top caliber players that we would bump up to well over 100. So it's a chance to play in England, in the Premier League, for a team on the up, get better wages, get some personal development as well, and be part of an exciting project. And we've got some positions at the moment where you can be the guy for the next 5 years. If you come in and you're a fantastic right winger, you're playing every game. It's as simple as that. So we can offer something that a lot of clubs can't offer.
James Morrison, thank you for your super chat. Gabriel Barbosa is a free agent now. I'd go for Sancho. Ben Henderson's been a member for 5 months. Love the show. How much transfer budget do you think we will have this season? If Miggy sells for 30, we have made around £100 million plus our budget. Yeah, but you've got to take the some money off that as well. So, I just don't know how FFP works. I haven't got a bloody clue anymore.
No one knows what the PSR, what we had to gain from PSR, did they? But some are saying 50 million now. Yeah, when it was kind of 25 until last week. So who knows?
Fubar says, I honestly feel we need a maximum of 4 major signings through the door, then invest heavily in the youth squad. Mente is a prime example of what can be done if we buy quality youngsters. And let's not forget Kuol. I know he didn't do himself any favors in Australia, let's be fair. But he's still here, and see what happens with him as well. But
he needs to get loaned out, and we don't need to think about him for another year. He just needs to go out on a loan again, and then we'll reassess this next year. That's as simple as that.
He needs to get some football beyond him, because wherever he's been, he's not played any football, has he?
Tio was a nice link, but I read AC Milan are reluctant to sell. They are, but money talks. And I did read an article yesterday that AC Milan, as a football club, are looking to rebuild relationships with Newcastle United after all the Tonali fiasco. So maybe, just maybe, there's a deal to be done. But also, you've got to take into consideration if the player actually wants to come. It's all right, us going to AC Milan saying, oh, we'll give you this for him. And AC Milan saying, yeah, no bother. But then the player might not want to join. So, it's an interesting link, and he's a very, very good player. We had him on a transfer show. We've seen what he can do. I wouldn't mind him, to be honest. I think it'd be a good signing, Alex.
Who are we talking about right now?
Tio. I'm pleased you listened to the show, Alex. Yeah,
I listened. I did listen to most of it, but yeah, the Tio about repairing links, and AC Milan do want to repair that. I was reading some comments. I was reading our loyal viewers' comments. The Tio. I mean, I do need to do a bit more research into him, but I mean, I've seen him a few times, maybe 4 or 5 times, and I think I think pretty much every single time I've seen him has been in a Champions League game or a European fixture, not in Serie A. So I need to maybe do a bit more digging there. But does look competent. Obviously, we reviewed him in a transfer show. At the moment, I think it would be fine. Maybe not the best option out there, but again, it depends on. We want a smattering of all the right ingredients, don't we? We want attitude, athleticism, power, height, aerial ability, technical ability, passing. We want to get all the right ingredients and potential, like we did with Anthony Gordon, to a point, and try and develop them and mold them into something that's going to be fantastic for our team. So it doesn't have to be the finished article straight away, especially because we still do have Fabian Schär for another year. So it's not essential that they're absolutely out the park right now. But again, they do need to be solid, and we need to have an alternative to Fabian Schär with someone who's a bit more athletic and faster and can maybe do something slightly different. And yeah, it would be nice to repair some of the damage with AC Milan that they caused, may I add.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary Clark, thank you for another super chat. I remember reading early in the window that Ipswich were interested in Miggy. Anything recent on that? I haven't heard anything about Miggy to Ipswich. That was sort of a one-day announcement and disappeared as quick as it arrived.
Could I just mention as well, people talking about Gabigol, that's got Forest written all over it. It really has. That's got Nottingham Forest written all over it for me.
Sean says, I know this won't be popular, but would you take Ballard from Sunderland? Massive talent, I reckon.
No, it's fucking awful.
He was awful against us. Well, actually, was he? He
was. He should have been sent off 3 times.
No. I remember that game, Billy, and I remember actually during the commentary that I was praising him, and I thought he looked a decent player. Yes, he made a couple of errors, he gave away a penalty, etc.
Led to goals.
Yeah, but look, I didn't mind. I thought his performance stood out in a very poor Sunderland side.
He's a sad song. That's all he is. No. Maybe the keeper. Maybe the keeper. The keeper.
Niall says we could sign Kubo from Sociedad, Ferran Torres from Barcelona, 2, for example. Well, Kubo, I think Kubo's got a release clause of around 60. But Ferran Torres has already said he wouldn't come back to he's turned us down, basically. What the link we had with Gibbs White, that's gone quiet as well. But again, I think, is it necessarily a bad thing, guys, that things have gone a little bit quiet? Because whenever this has happened in the past, and Newcastle United stayed quite quiet on things, we've made signings and good signings. Players out of the blue that we weren't necessarily linked to.
I think it went quiet just over the weekend while we were busy getting people out the door rather than bringing people in. I think it's going to ramp up again now. I think we can spend again as well. It's going to ramp up again. But yeah, you're right. When it does go quiet, the unexpected happens, doesn't it, usually?
Steve says, do you lads think Alfie Harrison might be another Mente in a season or so? Make some good money on the lad for this PSR farce if it's still going.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, but I think...
I think he's young enough to be homegrown trained at club now as well. So ideally, we could do with bringing him through. I'll just say, Tristan mentioned the Porto winger, and I couldn't remember his name, and I've just looked him up. I think he's on about, is it Wenderson, the guy that scored against Arsenal? I think that's the guy. I've just noticed, a little bit off topic, but Porto played 5 matches, and all 5 matches in a row, the opposition got a red card. I've never seen that before in my life. They played Sporting got a red card. They then played Chavez, who got a red card. Boavista, who then got a red card. Braga, who then got a red card. And then Sporting again, who then got another red card. That's 5 matches in a row where their opposition got a red card. And they won 4 out of 5 of those. That's spooky. Like somebody's cut. Like, they got a wizard. They hired a wizard.
Bring that manager in as Eddie's number 2. Bring him in.
Well, no, it'll be the wizard that they've got in the background, in the backroom staff, who's casting spells and stuff. That's ridiculous. 5 red cards.
Alex, wizards don't exist.
Well, I mean, Porto proved that they do. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. We've got a super chat, another one from James Morrison. Thank you, James. Would you be tempted to go for Kamada, wonder kid striker from Milan, or go for Chukwueze. Chukwueze, young and doesn't see the game time much. It all depends on money.
I quite like
really?
Chukwueze. I think he's all right.
Yeah, he's okay. He's a decent player. Ball Geordie says, evening TDR. I've heard from my inside source at the Strawberry that when Gordon learned about his best mate Anderson was being sold, his jaw dropped that much it grazed his chin. Yeah, we spoke about that this morning about Anthony Gordon. You know, he did send a nice message, didn't he, on social media to Elliot Anderson. I'm sure they spoke, in private as well. But listen, this happens in football. And Elliot Anderson, I think, for all he's good to leave Newcastle United. We said this morning it's probably going to be a big opportunity for him that he couldn't really turn down because he'll get more football at Forest. They're not going to spend 35 million quid on him and stick him on the bench. He's there to play football, and he'll certainly get more action than he probably would with us next season when everybody's fit. And we wish him all the best, apart from when he plays us. The way the owners are...
Yeah, sorry, of course.
Yeah. The way the owners are going, Mats Hummels is free.
I wouldn't mind that.
I wouldn't mind. Exactly. A year for Mats Hummels, definitely. Think of the experience he brings to the fold. Absolutely. Case Ball, thank you for your super chat. Nicholson scouts our players must come... I've no idea what that last word is. Nicholson scouts our players
out of the blue. I'm guessing
out of the blue.
And it's Nixon, not Nicholson.
Yeah, that's what threw completely threw. I thought, who the fuck's Nicholson? Andrew says,
Hummels, by the way, can I just say Hummels would be able to speak German with Fabian Schär and with the new Greek goalkeeper.
Yes,
or Odysseus, because they all speak German. So you never know. It might work.
So basically, Fabian Schär can turn around to both of them and go, "You do not perform, you go in the cooler for 2 weeks." Andrew says, genuine question. If Howe gets the England job, who's coming in? Oh, Christ, we're not even talking about that. I refuse to pay that any attention at all. Looney says, Morgan Gibbs-White wouldn't be a bad signing. I know it isn't exciting, but Eddie would make him up. Would take him up a level. We've discussed him before, and I think he's a decent player. Billy, you think he's a decent player?
I think he's a great player. I just don't think he suits. I don't think he's a right winger, though, is he? He can play there, but he's really a number 10. A bit like Mickey, I guess, but better at it.
Yeah. I mean, would that appeal to you, Morgan Gibbs-White, Alex?
I mean, 15 goal contributions last year. He's 24. He's English. He's experienced. He's played in the U21 setup for England with Gordon. He's versatile. Yeah, absolutely. I think the way we play, though, he might do better in the right side at 8 than he would on the right wing.
Yeah.
Depends.
Interesting. Andrew says, I generally think Botman might go with Kelly coming in.
Well, he's injured until December.
Go where?
See, no, he's not moving. I mean, we've seen he's put a lot up on social media of him training to get back fit again. I mean, I don't think we have any plans to sell Sven Botman. And if Sven Botman comes back as the player that he was before this injury malarkey kicked off, then he's a future captain of Newcastle United, as far as I'm concerned, without a shadow of a doubt. So I don't want him going anywhere. And I don't think bringing Lloyd Kelly in is an indication that, we could be selling Sven Botman, because Botman's out till at least Christmas, remember. So there's nobody going to be coming in for him anytime soon anyway. Kasper Schmeichel on a free. He's only 37. He didn't want to come, so Ruddy was brought in.
No. Me and Paul watched him play in the Cellar Cup live last pre-season, and I was no. I
mean, listen, the commentators for the Denmark, was it McCoist and Clive Tilsley, we were saying about that he's possibly looking to get back into the Premier League again, but he's 37. No. He's on the wrong end.
Fair enough. Sweeping. Yeah. If we moan about Dubravka not being able to sweep, Schmeichel couldn't pick up a bloody dustpan and brush. Never mind. No, not a chance.
And you, Andrew, welcome back, matey. I know you've been away for a while. Peter says Eddie's going nowhere. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tom says Share is Swiss, though, so they're neutral.
That's quite right.
They don't get involved in a lot of things, do the Swiss, do they? They just stay out the way.
I think they do harbour a bit of gold, though, by all accounts.
And chocolate.
Triangular chocolate that hurts when you eat it.
Would that be the good old Toblerone? It's delicious stuff, Billy. Just get stuck.
It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It breaks your palate.
Well, it is a bit harsh on the old gob sometimes. Yvonne says it's strange how media link us with dozens of players in, but want our big boys out to their favourite teams.
It is strange.
It's never going to change. It is never, ever going to change. Right, before we end the show, I'm going to ask you two a question. When do you think Newcastle will make their marquee signing? Will it be soon or later? Where do you stand on it?
I think it'll be before the end of July. That's all I can say.
Well, Billy, that's 4 frigging weeks, man. You can't go a month, man.
All right, then. July the 17th at 4:48 p.m.
That's not good enough either, Billy. That's too much on the mark. Alex, don't bother.
I'm not even going to answer that question.
I can't. It's not ridiculous. It's a perfectly fine question you ask. You're just used to with twats.
We're not in the nose. I've got no idea. Again, it depends what becomes available.
It's
who
about
else is in for the same players.
Guys, it is simply about just saying, do we make an early big signing or do we make a sign that will drag on like a Botman? Do you think Eddie will want to go and have his everything in by start of pre-season?
That's not up to us.
It want that.
Yeah.
Of course it want that, but whether it happens or not.
In a perfect world, we'd have everybody in the next fortnight, but it doesn't always work like that. Plus, we've got people to sell, so that also maybe has a bearing on it. Like if we ship Miggy off in the final 2 weeks of the window, we might make another big signing. Like it's just you just can't tell.
See,
sorry, Paul, but I can't give you an honest answer.
When do you think, Paul? When do you think the marquee signing will be made?
I've got no fucking idea. Anyway,
hang on, let me get David Kakura on the phone. He might be able to tell us.
Well, he won't. He hasn't got a good look about him.
Sam must be still kicking around.
Well, that was the Man United fan in earlier, wasn't it? We've kicked him out and all. See, I sneezed on camera. Matt Smith, listen, this would be a great one. Can you imagine this? Just before we go to Japan, we signed Kubo.
I mean, that would be good commercially, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine all those little Japanese people at the airport just welcoming Kubo to
why have they got to be little, Paul? They're just people.
Or with cameras, by any chance.
I was just making a phrase.
We apologise to the nation of Japan.
I was not making. I just said all the little people coming around, welcoming. But it's just a phrase. Fuck's sake!
Have you two swapped brains today?
You'll be nipping out in a minute.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, that's.
Anyway, there's little chance that happening because if that was the case, before we went to Glasgow Rangers last year, we'd have signed Subo.
Look, Kubo, to be fair, me and Sam have been banging on about him all summer. I would absolutely love to sign him. And I think given the commercial aspect of it, the money that we would make would be absolutely incredible by going to Japan and signing Kubo. Mrs. Toon Review says, when we are on the plane, I've got no idea what that's about, but...
well, that's when the marquee signing is going to happen, when you're on the plane.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It probably will, which means you two will have to pull your fucking fingers out and do something. I'd love to sign Kubo just for Paul's reaction. Well, I'd be happy, put it that way. I would be really happy. Susan's in the chat now. I wonder if she heard your comment earlier on in the show, Billy.
What about the typhoid thing going around Ventura at the minute?
Oh, you see. It's just, you're just wrong in every single aspect. Anyway, it is time to end the show now. It is the last time you'll see Alex and Billy, as they're getting fired immediately after the show.
We've been fired more.
Yeah, you've been fired more than somebody on The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your super chats and new memberships again. And, of course, thank you very much to Billy and Alex, of course. Mods, you've been fantastic again. But to you guys, thank you again for tuning in. We will be back again tomorrow morning with the news. God knows what it'll be, but it's a new day. Anything can happen again. But listen, guys, have a splendid rest of your Monday evening, and we'll see you all again tomorrow. Good night.
July the 17th, 4:45 p.m.
Twat!
Come back and check on some green.